Hey people, welcome back. Recently, I started experiencing an issue with my PPS Kar98 where the FPS was incredibly inconsistent, but primarily the FPS was incredibly low. At times, it would shoot 30 feet or less, and other times the BB would fail to even leave the barrel. So I disassembled the gun, and I was able to discover the issue. The PPS is a clone of the Tanaka Kar98, so if you have that gun, this fix should work for you. This is the non-shell ejecting version, gas powered. So without further ado, let's get into it. All we need to do is remove the bolt from the gun, and we won't need the rest of this. Next, you're going to remove this screw in the front. Note that when you pull this part out, there is going to be a certain amount of resistance as there is a ball bearing in here, which is this right here. You can see the ball right there. That is spring tensioned, so just don't lose that. Also, there is a spring inside of this front part. But we can set all those aside. Inside of here, there's a screw, which you can barely see down there. That is a bolt that runs all the way down and attaches to the hammer, the striker here at the back. And actually, we can go ahead and look at the actual issue. If I pull this striker back, you can see that it's not fully screwed in. Might be a little bit hard to see, but I'm going to go ahead and remove this. Just unscrewing counterclockwise. All right, and that and the bolt comes out, and of course we have our striker here. These two halves at the front just go around the bolt to keep it centered. Pretty straightforward. You have, of course, your striker spring and your hammer. Okay, so yeah, you can just screw that all the way in. The second part to this is you see down here, there's actually a grub screw in the bottom. There's actually a grub screw in the bottom of the hammer. That will be screwed down afterwards to keep this from backing out. So just make sure that once you put it back in the bolt, that you tighten that down pretty firmly to make sure that this doesn't unscrew itself. And that should fix your issues. So let's go ahead and reassemble it. I'm going to put a little bit of super lube onto these parts to allow the bolt to easily rotate. Just a tiny little bit. And I'm also going to put a little bit on the bolt itself. Not too much, just want to make it easier for the spring to slide on here. Two halves go on. Make sure that the safety lever is all the way to the left side. And one thing to be sure of when you're tying this down is make sure that this grub screw is backed out, because you don't want that to prevent you from inserting the piston all the way, the striker all the way. Right, and now we can tighten down the scrub screw to make sure it doesn't back out. You don't have to do it super firmly, but you want it firm enough to make sure that it doesn't come loose. And that should fix the issue. Last thing is to put this back on. The ball bearing goes in the smaller of the two holes. And just kind of line that up with one of the two notches on the bottom of this, on the inside of this bolt. It doesn't technically have to be lined up, but it definitely makes it easier to insert. There we go, clips into place. And you can kind of feel, you can rotate this, but it locks into position. That's what that's doing. Oh, of course, don't forget this little spring needs to go back into the front. And now we can reassemble this. There we go. Yep, looks good. Screw goes back in. All right, very good. And we can see this is continuing to rotate correctly. And if we pull this back, and you could have done this before, you can see that it's a pretty strong spring too. You can see that there's no space between the striker. It's fully screwed in. All right, let's go and put it back in the gun. And immediately, you're going to notice here, let me take out the magazine, don't want to shoot in here. You're going to notice an immediate sound difference when you pull the trigger. It'll sound substantially firmer. Also, one of the things that you may have noticed, when the spring is loose, it sticks out further, and when you move the trigger, this will move significantly. The hammer will move significantly when you're wiggling the trigger. Now it doesn't do that anymore. So just as a whole, it looks and sounds great. Alright guys, I hope you found that helpful. If you have any questions about the PPS Kar98, please let me know down in the comments below. And until the next video, stay safe guys.